The night sky over the small town of Hollow Creek was calm. The stars sparkled above, and only the sounds of crickets filled the air. Ethan walked down the dirt road after his late shift at the diner. His bag hung over his shoulder, and he whistled. Quietly to himself, thinking about nothing special. Then, suddenly, boom! A bright light tore through the sky like a burning comet. It flew low, shaking the trees, and crashed into the woods near the old mill. The ground trembled slightly, and a loud echo bounced across the hills. Ethan froze, heart pounding. "What the hell was that?" he whispered. Curiosity took over. He dropped his bag and ran toward the woods. The forest was dark and thick, but a strange blue glow guided him deeper. The air smelled like burning metal. Birds flew from the trees in fear. As he reached the crash site, he saw it, a large silver pod, steaming and half buried in the earth. Strange symbols glowed on its surface. It didn't look like any plane or satellite he'd ever seen. Then, the hatch hissed open. Ethan stepped back, unsure if he should run or hide. But his legs wouldn't move. Two figures slowly stepped out of the pod, tall, thin, dressed in tight, shining black suits with gold lines running across the fabric like veins. Their skin was pale with a faint shimmer, and their heads were bald, elongated, with no eyebrows. Their eyes were large, bright, and sad. They looked straight at him. Ethan raised his hand slowly. I'm not gonna hurt you." The taller one stepped in front of the other and placed a hand on her chest, then pointed at the sky. She tried to speak, but the words were soft and broken. Her voice sounded musical, but he couldn't understand anything. The second girl fell to her knees. She looked weak, her hands shaking. Ethan quickly realized they weren't here to fight. They were scared and hurt. He glanced around. No one else had come yet. The crash wasn't loud enough to wake the whole town, but that might change any minute. "You need help?" he asked, stepping closer. The girl nodded weakly. Ethan made a decision. He pulled off his jacket and offered it to the girl on the ground. "Come with me. It's not safe out here." They didn't understand the words, but they followed the feeling in his voice. Slowly, they walked with him back through the trees, the pod still glowing quietly behind them. They reached his family's barn on the edge of town. It was old and mostly unused. His dad had passed years ago, and his mom lived in a nursing home. The barn was now full of dust, tools, and forgotten boxes. Ethan opened the door and helped them inside. He brought an old mattress, blankets, and a flashlight. The girls sat close together, still silent, still afraid. He poured water into 2 cups and handed them over. They sniffed the water, unsure, then drank like they hadn't tasted anything in days. "Who are you?" Ethan asked softly. "Where did you come from?" They didn't answer. But one of them picked up a broken stick from the floor and began drawing in the dust, a circle, stars, a tiny dot. Then, 2 stick figures falling. Ethan's eyes widened. "You were sent here? On purpose?" The girl nodded. "Punished?" Another nod. "Exiled." His mind raced. Were they criminals? Soldiers? Refugees? He didn't know. But somehow he didn't feel danger from them, only sadness. Only silence. He sat on a box across from them and sighed. "Guess I'm your first contact." "Huh." The taller one looked at him for a long time, then pointed at her chest. "Lyra," she said slowly. Ethan blinked. "Lyra?" She nodded. The other girl pointed to herself. "Aaron," Ethan smiled. "Nice to meet you, Lyra and Aaron. I'm Ethan." Outside, the night grew darker. But far above, in orbit, something moved. A dark vessel with red scanning lights floated past Earth's atmosphere. It had already tracked the crash. The exiles had been located. Inside the vessel, a cold voice said, "Target confirmed. Retrieval protocol begins at sunrise." And on Earth, as Lyra and Aaron slept on the barn floor, Ethan watched them quietly. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but deep down something told him his life would never be the same again. Asterisk. The morning sun rose slowly over Hollow Creek, shining its soft light over the rooftops, trees, and fields. But inside Ethan's old barn, time felt frozen. Ethan sat on a hay bale, staring at the two alien girls still sleeping on the dusty mattress he had placed for them. Their skin shimmered softly in the golden light, and they looked peaceful too. Peaceful for someone who just crash-landed on a strange world. Lyra stirred first. Her eyes opened, glowing faintly violet. She looked at Ethan, confused at first, then relaxed. Slowly she nudged Aaron, who blinked awake, rubbed her face, and curled closer to her sister. Ethan didn't say anything. He just watched them. These weren't monsters. These weren't enemies. They looked human in their fear. And fragile. He stood and walked outside the barn. The cold morning air hit his face. What now? He had two alien girls hiding on his property. No one in town would believe him. And if the government found them first? He shivered at the thought. Back inside, Lyra had stood up. She was touching the old tools on the wall, curious. Arin had found a mirror and was looking at her reflection with wide eyes, running her fingers over her now more human-looking features. Their transformation was continuing. Slowly, they were adapting, changing to survive on Earth. Ethan brought in breakfast. Just toast, jam, and some apples. The girls looked at the food, then at him. He nodded, smiling. It's safe, try it. Aaron picked up the toast and sniffed it. Then she took a small bite, and her eyes lit up. Lyra tried hers, slower but with interest. Within minutes, the girls were eating quickly, like they hadn't had a real meal in days. Ethan chuckled. Guess aliens like jam. Then something strange happened. Arin touched her own chest, then pointed at Ethan, tilting her head. Her lips moved slowly, trying to form words. You, she said in a soft, careful voice. Ethan blinked. Me? She nodded. Then Lyra repeated the motion. You, safe, she added, voice uncertain but clear. Ethan felt his chest tighten. You think I'm safe? Both girls nodded. Ethan rubbed his face, overwhelmed. Okay, we're really doing this. He stepped outside and looked at the sky. Still no sign of search parties. Still no noise from the crash site. Maybe no one noticed. Maybe he had more time. That evening, Ethan returned to the barn with an old tablet. He sat between the girls and began teaching them words. Simple ones. Apple, he said, pointing. PLL, Aaron repeated. Water, he said, showing. A bottle. Wah. Tour, Lyra copied. He drew pictures in the dirt. House, sky, danger, safe. Slowly their understanding grew. They began drawing backstars, moons, a planet with glowing rings, a symbol that looked like their ship. Then they drew two stick figures, chained and falling. Below them, a dot labeled Earth. Banished. That night, something new happened. Ethan was leaving the barn when he heard soft music behind him. Turning around, he saw Aaron pressing buttons on his tablet. It played a calming piano song. She wasn't just curious, she was feeling it. She closed her eyes and swayed gently. Lyra joined her, pressing the screen again. Another song. A sad one. Their heads lowered. Ethan realized they weren't just learning, they were remembering. Something about this music reminded them of home. He sat quietly in the doorway, watching. The barn, once cold and dusty, now held something soft, something alive. Three souls sharing space, slowly understanding each other without needing all the words. But elsewhere, someone was watching. In a dark chamber orbiting Earth, a cloaked figure stared at a holographic map. Two red dots pulsed on the screen. The tracker pressed a button and zoomed in on Hollow Creek. Exiles located. Orders remain, retrieve or terminate. Back on Earth, Ethan had no idea danger was getting closer. But inside that barn, he only saw two scared girls trying to smile for the first time, and he promised himself something in that moment. He would protect them, no matter what. 3 days had passed since the crash. Ethan now had a rhythm: wake up early, check the woods for signs of discovery, bring food to the barn, and teach Lyra and Aaron more English. The girls learned fast. They could now say small sentences like, "You help us, and we stay here." They laughed at his jokes, touched the rain with wonder, and listened to music like it was magic. But far away, someone had already arrived. A man stepped off a long-distance bus in Hollow Creek's quiet station. He wore a dusty trench coat, old sunglasses, and gloves. His face looked human, but too perfect. His walk was stiff, too measured. The locals didn't notice anything strange. But he wasn't human. He was a hunter, a retrieval specialist, and his mission was simple: find the exiled sisters, or erase them. He walked into a diner, the same one where Ethan worked. The tracker sat at the counter, watching people, listening. His tech-covered fingers tapped a small device hidden under the table. It blinked green alien traces nearby. Very near. Smiled, cold and calm. Back in the barn, Aaron was painting with her fingers on old cardboard pieces Ethan gave her. She painted stars, two girls, and a human boy. Lyra was reading a picture book. She struggled with the words, but her lips moved softly. Cat, tree, home. Ethan brought them sandwiches and smiled. "You two are adjusting better then." "I expected." Lyra looked at him. "You are kind." "Why?" He paused. "Because no one helped me when I needed it. I won't let that happen to someone else." Aaron suddenly tnsed. She turned toward the door. Her eyes narrowed. "What is it?" Ethan asked. She stood quickly. "Watcher, near." Lyra stood too, grabbing Ethan's wrist. "Hide, danger comes." Ethan blinked. "What do you mean?" But before they could explain, Ethan's phone buzzed. It was his friend Kyle from town. "Bro. Weird guy at the diner, asking about a crash. Military or something. You okay?" Ethan's heart dropped. They'd been found. That night, Ethan snuck through town. The girls stayed hidden in the barn while he went to check the crash site. Maybe someone found it. Maybe there was something he could clean up or hide. But when he got there, he stopped cold. The ship was gone. The crater was still there, burned into the ground, but the silver pod was missing. No pieces. No trail. Just gone, and something else, boot prints. Heavy ones. Leading away from the crater. He followed them carefully until they disappeared at the roadside. Probably taken by truck. Military or someone else. Back at the barn, Lyra was pacing. "They erase us," she said when Ethan returned. "What?" "They remove crash, they track us. Now," Aaron added, not human, he wears skin." Ethan looked between them. "You're saying someone is hunting you. Pretending to be human?" They both nodded. Ethan gritted his teeth. "Then we make a plan." In town, the tracker removed his coat and stared at a holomap inside a hidden motel room. A dot blinked near Ethan's home. He now knew. The boy had made contact with the exiles, and soon, he'd have all three. Rain fell hard over Hollow Creek. That night, the roof of the old barn rattled as thunder rolled across the sky. Inside, the warm glow of a lantern lit the faces of Lyra, Aaron, and Ethan as they sat around a blanket. The girls had never seen a thunderstorm before. Each rumble made Aaron flinch. Lyra stayed calm, but her hand stayed clenched tightly in her lap. "They're scared of thunder?" Ethan asked softly. "No," Lyra whispered, her voice trembling. "Not thunder, memories." She pointed to the sky, then placed her hand over her heart. "Back home. Punishment begins with storms." Ethan's chest tightened. "Storms?" Aaron nodded. "Big sound. Bright pain, then exile." He suddenly understood. Thunder reminded them of the pain they had suffered before they were sent to Earth. They weren't scared of the weather. They were scared of the past. Ethan pulled out his tablet and showed them a picture of the Earth. Here, no one will hurt. You like that, he said gently. Lyra stared into his eyes. Why do you care? He hesitated, then looked down. Because you're alone, and I know how that feels. He told them about his father lost in a car crash. His mother now. In a care home, her mind fading. He lived alone in a house that used to be full of life. He worked, he survived. But he hadn't felt connected to anyone in years. Lyra placed her hand on his. Not alone now. Just then, a click sounded outside. Ethan froze. He reached for the barn window and peeked through the cracked boards. A man stood just beyond. The trees. Still. Watching. Wearing a long coat. Not moving. Not blinking. Ethan's skin crawled. It's him. Aaron and Lyra stood. Their eyes turned sharp, glowing faintly in the dark. Lyra whispered something in her language. Aaron replied. Ethan looked at them. What are you saying? Lyra said, we must leave, now. But he doesn't know you're here yet. No, he waits. He already knows. They grabbed what little supplies they had, blankets, fruit, Ethan's flashlight, and quietly slipped out the barn's back door. They moved through the trees, wet from the rain, hearts pounding. The girls moved fast, graceful in the dark. Ethan followed, boots squishing in the mud. Behind them. The man in the coat finally took a step forward. Then another. No flashlight. No sound. He didn't rush. He didn't need to. He knew where they were going. The trio reached Ethan's small house. At the edge of town. It was quiet, dark, and warm inside. They dried off quickly, changed into dry clothes, and sat in the kitchen, trying to breathe, but the fear never left. He won't stop, will he? Ethan asked. Lyra shook her head. He is made to catch, to end, Aaron whispered. He does not feel. He does not sleep. Ethan paced the floor. Then we fight. Aaron blinked. Fight? Ethan nodded. I may be human, but I'm not helpless. He walked to the closet and pulled out an old hunting rifle. His father's. Lyra's eyes widened. You will die. Maybe. Ethan said, loading the gun, but I won't let him take you. Lyra stepped forward. She placed her hand over his chest. No, you are not our shield. Aaron walked to the window and whispered something in her own tongue. Her hands began to glow faintly. She's calling something, Lyra said softly. Not a person. A memory. Ethan watched in awe as the glow from Aaron's palms floated into the air and spread across the room. The light touched the walls, the ceiling, and disappeared. What did she do? He asked. Lyra looked at him with a strange, calm smile. If we die tonight, the stars will know. Outside, down the empty road, the tracker stopped. He looked at Ethan's house. His scanner flashed red. Target. Acquired. Midnight. The wind stopped. No thunder. No rain. No sound at all. Ethan's small house stood quiet at the edge of town. But something in the air had changed. Lyra felt it first. Her body went still. Her glowing eyes stared toward the front door. He's here, she whispered. Aaron moved beside her. He walks like death. Ethan gripped his father's rifle tighter. He had never used it on a living being, but tonight didn't feel real. It felt like a dream on the edge of turning into a nightmare. Then knock, knock, 3 slow. Heavy knocks on the wooden door. Ethan didn't move. The door creaked as if under pressure. Then a calm male voice came through. Give me the girls, and you will not be harmed. Ethan's heart raced. The voice wasn't human. It was perfect. Too perfect. Like someone trying to sound calm, but with no soul behind it. He stepped toward the door. Go away. You have made contact with exiled beings, the voice replied. That is a violation of interstellar law. Ethan shouted back. They haven't hurt anyone. They're just scared. then you will watch them be erased. The door handle began to turn. Without thinking, Ethan fired a warning shot through the wall. Bang! Silence. Then footsteps. Walking away from the door. Ethan turned to the girls. Go out the back, now. Lyra grabbed Aaron's hand. We can't leave you. You have to. I'll buy time. But just then crash. The back window exploded. A dark figure leapt through it, like smoke with a body. He moved like a shadow and slammed into Ethan, throwing him across the kitchen. The gun flew from his hands. Lyra screamed. Aaron charged at the figure with glowing fists, but the hunter caught her mid-air and slammed her to the ground. Sparks flew from her palms. Her power sparked, but it wasn't enough. Lyra stepped forward and raised her hands. Her body began to glow, brighter, stronger. Her skin shimmered like a star ready to burn. The tracker looked at her, but paused. Her voice shook the room. We are not prisoners anymore. The glow from her body expanded, and the hunter staggered, just for a second. But it was enough. Ethan grabbed the rifle and fired again. Boom! This time, the shot hit the tracker's shoulder. Sparks and black fluid sprayed from under his coat. Not blood. The tracker growled and vanished, disappearing into smoke. The house went quiet again. Windows broken. Walls cracked. Aaron lay breathing hard. Lyra collapsed onto the floor, her glow fading. Ethan dropped to his knees beside them. Are you okay? Aaron nodded weakly. He is wounded, but he will return. Lyra whispered, he's not just a hunter, he is executioner. Ethan looked around the ruined home. We need to leave this place. Tonight. Aaron touched his arm. You fight like one of us. He laughed breathlessly. I fight like someone with nothing left to lose. Lyra looked at him, her voice soft. Not true. You fight like someone who's found something worth keeping. They packed quickly. Just essentials, food, blankets, Ethan's tablet, and what little money he had. They couldn't stay in town anymore. The hunter knew where they lived. Ethan hotwired his neighbor's old truck, now abandoned. They climbed inside. As they drove through the dark roads, past the sleeping town, Ethan glanced at the rearview mirror. He didn't see the hunter, but he could feel him. Somewhere in the shadows. Far above Earth, in low orbit, a red light blinked inside a hidden satellite. A message was sent. Subject resisted retrieval. Weapon activated. Unstable evolution in exile female confirmed. Requesting override orders. The satellite pulsed, then responded. Do not kill them yet. Observe the human longer. Back on the road, Irene laid her head on Ethan's shoulder. Are we safe? Ethan whispered. No, but we're together. And that's something. In the back seat, Lyra stared at the stars through the broken window. She didn't feel like a prisoner anymore. She felt like something was waking inside her. Something old. Something powerful. And somehow, it only awakened when she stood beside a human. The truck rolled through a quiet forest road just before sunrise. Fog hung low across the trees like ghostly fingers. Ethan kept his eyes on the road while Aaron slept in the backseat, curled under a blanket. Lyra sat beside him, silent. She hadn't spoken in hours. Ethan glanced at her. You okay? Lyra didn't answer right away. Then softly, something changed. What do you mean? When I glowed. When I stopped the hunter, I felt something wake up, something buried deep. Ethan frowned, like a power. She nodded, a memory. They pulled off the road into a hidden rest stop by a river. No one else was there. Just trees, silence, and the sound of water flowing nearby. Ethan built a small fire. Aaron joined them after waking. The mood was heavy. Lyra took a stick and drew shapes in the dirt. A long time ago, she said, our people were like yours. Soft hearts, big dreams, but something changed. They chose control, power, cold minds. She drew a symbol, a ring within a star. Our bloodline tried to stop them, tried to help weaker races. For that, we were punished. Stripped of our status. Watched. Feared. Ethan listened quietly. I didn't just get exiled because I was kind, she continued. I was exiled because I carry something ancient in my blood. Our ring whispered, she is a sparkburn. Ethan blinked. A what? Lyra touched her chest. A child of the old energy. The first flame. It can heal or destroy. Why? Didn't you tell me before? Lyra looked down. Because I didn't know it had awakened until I met you. The fire crackled. Ethan sat back, stunned. So, you're not just some random girl they kicked out. You're part of something big. Lyra nodded. Bigger than I wanted, Aaron added. The hunter wasn't sent to kill us. He was sent to erase the spark before it returned. Ethan looked between them. Then you're in more danger than ever. Lyra looked at him gently. We all are, because now you're tied to me. Suddenly, a sharp beep echoed from Ethan's bag. He pulled out the tablet. A message appeared, blinking, in glowing alien symbols. Aaron read it aloud slowly. Observation complete. Human shows connection to spark, awaiting final extraction. Ethan's mouth went dry. They're watching me too? Lyra's hands trembled. They've been watching this whole time. She stood. We have to make a choice now. What kind of choice? Run forever. Or fight once? Ethan threw a rock. Into the river. Fight how? Against what? Aaron stepped forward. The hunter is not alone. He reports to the core worlds. They fear sparkburn. They fear rebellion. Lyra said, but if we reach the old beacon in the mountain, we can send a message to the outer kin. Ethan raised a brow. What's that? Distant colonies. That broke away. They might still protect the old ways. Aaron added, if they know Lyra still lives, and that she awakened, they may come. Ethan laughed nervously. So now we're calling aliens for help, Lyra nodded. Or else Earth becomes the next testing ground. Ethan looked out across the trees. He had started as just a diner worker in a quiet town. Now he was sitting next to two aliens, one of whom carried ancient power in her blood and talking about calling rebel colonies across the stars. He took a deep breath. You're not fighting alone, he said. Let's find this beacon, Lyra smiled. Then let's finish what our ancestors started. Far above, in a cold starship hidden in Earth's orbit, the tracker stood still. His body had partially repaired itself, but the wound Lyra left hadn't closed. He pressed a device against his neck. It scanned his systems. Result: unstable energy signature detected. Sparkburn contact confirmed. Stared through the glass at the blue planet below. And for the first time in his long, artificial life, he felt fear. They reached the mountain as dawn broke over the horizon. Mist floated through the trees like spirits guiding them. The beacon tower, an ancient alien structure hidden deep within Earth's forgotten caves, rose before them, half buried in stone. It didn't look like human tech. It looked grown, not built. Its surface shimmered like black glass with veins of silver light. Lyra placed her hand on the side of the structure. It pulsed under her touch. It still breathes, she whispered. Ethan stood back, his chest tight. He had seen many strange things these past days, but this tower felt sacred, ancient, as if it remembered her. What happens now? He asked. If the signal works, Aaron said, the outer kin will hear it, and they'll come. And if it doesn't? Lyra answered softly, then this will be our last stand. They climbed inside. The tower lit up with every step. It responded to Lyra's presence. The air smelled like lightning and memory. At the center stood a platform of light. Lyra stepped onto it. Her body began to glow once again, this time stronger than ever. Aaron pressed symbols along the wall. The beacon awakened fully. humming like a heartbeat. Ethan watched from behind, awe in his eyes. Then the ground trembled. Outside, the sky cracked open with a sonic boom. The hunter had arrived, but not alone. Two black ships hovered above the mountain. Troops descended in glowing armor, surrounding the forest. The executioner landed first, walking straight toward the beacon. Inside, alarms flared. The tower had detected enemy presence. Arin grabbed Ethan's hand. "Stay behind me." "No way," Ethan said. "We do this together." Lyra's voice echoed through the tower. "I'm sending the message. Hold them off." Just long enough, the doors burst open. The hunter entered, eyes glowing red, body repaired, but slower now. "You will not call them," he said in a hollow voice. Ethan stepped forward, holding the old rifle. "You keep underestimating humans." He fired. The shot hit the hunter's chest but only staggered him. Arin leapt into battle, her hands glowing like blue fire. She moved fast, dancing through the air, striking with speed. But the hunter countered. Sparks flew. Glass cracked. Lyra stood still on the platform, eyes closed, the beacon pulsing brighter. She spoke in her native tongue, an ancient chant only the stars could understand. "Lyra," Ethan called. "Hurry. I almost have it." She cried. The hunter knocked Arin aside, sending her into the wall. He turned toward the beacon. "Lyra, no!" Ethan shouted, charging him. The hunter raised his hand to strike Ethan down. But Lyra opened her eyes. And the room exploded with light. Time froze. A pulse spread outward, bright, pure, and golden. The hunter's body stopped mid-motion. Cracks appeared in his skin. His synthetic body couldn't contain the energy of the spark. With a scream, he shattered into particles of light and vanished. The ships above lost power, fell from the sky, and crashed into the forest like dying birds. The pulse spread into space. Through the clouds beyond the solar system, the signal had been sent. Hours later, silence returned. The tower slowly powered down. Lyra collapsed. Ethan caught her. She smiled weakly. "It's done." Arin limped over and sat beside them. "They heard it." I felt it echo. Ethan looked up at the stars. "So what now?" Lyra looked at him, eyes soft. "Now we wait and live." 2 weeks later, they found an old cabin deep in the forest, abandoned, quiet, safe. Ethan fixed the roof. Arin planted a garden. Lyra spent her mornings by the river, her bare feet in the water, watching Earth breathe. They laughed, cooked, lived. Sometimes Ethan would look at them and wonder how his quiet life had become a story the galaxy might one day tell. And one clear night, as the stars glittered above, a soft hum filled the air. A single ship appeared in the sky. Beautiful, silver, peaceful. It hovered, watching. Then sent a beam of warm light down into the clearing, not to attack, but to greet. Lyra looked up. They came. Ethan stood beside her, his hand gently finding hers. "Is this goodbye?" he asked. She shook her head. "No," she whispered, smiling. "This is the beginning."